Today I am going to explain an American romantic and thriller movie called Bad Sister. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. This film tells the story of a nun who has a crush on a boy and decides to set him up. Can he get out of the nun's trap? Let's find out in Bad Sister. Bad Sister started with a young man named Jason Brady, who was playing guitar in his room. When school is off, Jason often records videos for his YouTube channel. After school holidays, Jason and his sister, Zoe, were escorted to a Catholic boarding school. They were greeted by the headmaster, Sister Rebecca. Meanwhile, elsewhere and still in the same boarding school location, another sister observed Jason and his family from the principal's office. The sister was named Sister Sophia. Shortly after, Sister Rebecca returned to her room and greeted Sister Sophia. Sister Rebecca reminds her that every nun must comply with the school's policies and regulations. One of these regulations is that a sister cannot use makeup while in school. Sister Rebecca immediately handed her a tissue and asked Sister Sophia to remove her makeup right away. After a short conversation, Sister Rebecca then took Sister Sophia around. While walking through the school grounds, they accidentally bumped into Jason. Sister Rebecca then introduced Jason to Sister Sophia. But unexpectedly, Sister Sophia was secretly charmed by Jason and fell in love with him. Sister Sophia became even more attracted to Jason after their first meeting. She often watches Jason's YouTube channel and is very impressed with his singing and playing guitar skills. Sister Sophia then sneaks into the school dormitory and listens to Jason sing while playing the guitar. She intended to make him her own. One day, while in class, a student named Sarah tried to approach Jason. Sarah is a beautiful and popular girl. Her father was a regular benefactor and had considerable influence on the Catholic Educational Foundation. Shortly after, Sister Sophia entered the classroom. She felt jealous seeing Sarah and Jason's closeness. She then reprimanded Sarah in a slightly intimidating tone. After that incident, Jason and Sarah were back chatting in the schoolyard. At that time, Sarah told Jason about Sister Sophia's annoying attitude. Jason didn't say anything. But just as Sarah and Jason were about to kiss, Sister Sophia suddenly came up to them with an angry expression. She then told Jason to come into the classroom and warned Sarah to stay away from him. Long story short, Sister Sophia asked Jason to come to her room when school was over. At first, Jason refused because a boy was not allowed to visit a girl's room, especially a nun's room. After school, Jason immediately went to Sister Sophia's room. He saw that the door to her room was slightly open, and when he looked inside, he was struck by the sight of Sister Sophia. At that time, she had taken off her nun's clothes and was wearing only bright red underwear. It turned out that Sister Sophia did this on purpose and pretended not to notice Jason's presence. Jason then hurriedly left for fear that Sister Sophia would catch him peeking. One day, Sister Sophia approached Jason and helped him mow the grass and fertilize the school grounds. The two of them chatted casually. Sister Sophia then unbuttoned her shirt as she leaned closer to Jason. Suddenly, Jason's gaze fell on something dense and stuffy under Sister Sophia's shirt. But Sister Sophia did not feel uncomfortable. She even looked happy because she managed to seduce Jason. That night, Sister Sophia sneaked into the boys' dormitory, heading for Jason's room. Jason was already asleep when Sister Sophia entered his room and secretly recorded the situation with her cell phone. Sensing someone in his room, Jason woke up and was very surprised to find Sister Sophia. Sister Sophia then approached Jason and persuaded him to have sex. Jason refused because it was a sin. But Sister Sophia ignored Jason's refusal. She instead took off her clothes. Jason was finally tempted, and they copulated as if the world belonged to the two of them. The next morning, Jason sat pensively in his bed, lamenting the great sin he had committed with Sister Sophia. After school, he then intends to confess all his actions. However, Jason was surprised to find out that the person who heard his confession was not the priest but Sister Sophia. She then entered the confessional and sat on his lap while fondling him passionately. Sophia doesn't even care if she is sinning in a church. Jason, who had finished his sentence, was finally able to return home for the weekend. The Bradys are enjoying dinner when Jason's father reprimands his son, punished for his poor grades. But Jason made his father even angrier by revealing his desire to achieve his dream of becoming a singer. The father-son argument eventually led Jason to finish his dinner and head to a bar to calm himself. Returning from the bar, Jason was stopped by a police officer who asked for his ID. Jason could not show his identity card. But then, Sister Sophia suddenly came and begged the policeman not to arrest Jason and say that he was her student. The police finally handed Jason over to Sister Sophia. Sister Sophia then took Jason to a hotel. She took off her nun clothes and changed into a red dress as she listened to Jason talk about his fight with his father. After listening to his story, Sophia then asked him to go with her abroad. Sophia then reveals her true identity to Jason. Sophia wasn't a nun. She is a wealthy woman who deliberately seeks out the young man in a Catholic school disguised as a nun. She said that she fell in love with Jason at first sight. Sophia even confidently revealed that she could be Jason's inspiration in making songs and working in the music world until he became a famous musician one day. But Jason realized that there was something odd about Sophia and refused her. Jason then told Sophia not to come near him again and left. Sophia felt very angry and frustrated at the rejection from Jason. She then vented her anger by shouting while throwing things in front of him. The next day, Jason returned to his dorm room and found Sophia unconscious on his bed. A panicked Jason thought that Sophia ended her life by overdosing on drugs because there were a lot of drugs splattered on the table. While he was checking Sophia's condition, Sophia suddenly woke up. It turned out that it was a prank to get his attention and sympathy. Jason, who could no longer deal with Sophia's play, threatened to report her actions to the priest and principal. But Sophia replied that she too would expose their forbidden scandal to everyone. Jason could only stay silent because he didn't want his father and everyone to know about his depraved actions at school. Moments later, while Sophia was teaching the class, Sister Rebecca suddenly came and stopped the lesson. The principal told Sarah to go to class and attend classes as usual because her sentence was over. Jason and Sarah's relationship was close again. They were often seen alone and affectionately, which ignited a fire of jealousy and anger in Sophia. Sophia then came up with a plan to get rid of Sarah. In the evening, Sophia re-enters the girls' dormitory and finds Sarah in the shower. After ensuring no one would catch her, she immediately banged Sarah's head against the bathroom wall repeatedly until the girl died horribly. After that, she covered her tracks by disguising Sarah's death as an accident and returning to her room innocently. Not long after, Zoe was surprised when she found Sarah lying face down, covered in blood. She immediately called for help. Sarah's body was immediately taken to the hospital for an autopsy. The police and the rest of the dormitory think Sarah died from a fall in the bathroom. The dormitory residents gathered at the church. Everyone looked sad, except Sophia, who showed a happy expression even though it wasn't for long. When prayer time was over, Jason approached Sophia and accused her of being the mastermind behind Sarah's sudden death. Even though it was true, Sophia wasn't afraid. She even looked angry and threatened Jason by showing a video recording of the two of them having sex. Sophia then threatens Jason if he dares to reveal all her actions. When the weekend came, Jason and Zoe were picked up by their parents. Sophia then devised a plan to approach Jason while he was with his family. She then asked Sister Rebecca for permission to attend her aunt's funeral. Jason and Zoe are having dinner at a restaurant with their parents. To their surprise, Sister Sophia suddenly appeared before them and met their parents. Mr. and Mrs. Brady greeted Sophia in a friendly manner. Even Jason's father invited Sophia to have dinner with them. Sophia then took the opportunity to tease Jason secretly by holding his thigh under the table. Suddenly Jason shuddered and was very nervous. Meanwhile, Sister Rebecca calls the hospital where Sophia's aunt is being treated. She intended to send a bouquet as a sign of condolences. But the hospital did not know the name of the patient mentioned by Sister Rebecca. She began to suspect that Sister Sophia lied to her. Back at the Brady's, Zoe urged Jason to tell her what had happened because he seemed nervous when Sister Sophia had dinner with them. Jason finally admitted that he had committed a grave sin with Sister Sophia. Long story short, Jason and Zoe are trying to find information about Sister Sophia's real identity. They sneakily broke into her room, then accessed her laptop. A fact was finally revealed that her real name is Laura Patterson. Laura purposely got rid of the real Sister Sophia to infiltrate Jason's school and approach him. On the other hand, Sister Rebecca called Laura to come to her office. Sister Rebecca then exposed all of Laura's lies and was about to report them to the priest. However, as Sister Rebecca headed for the door, Laura struck her head, which instantly caused Sister Rebecca to collapse and become unconscious. Jason and Zoe, who were about to report their discovery of Sister Sophia's true identity, went straight to Sister Rebecca's room. Because there was no answer when they knocked on the door, they finally left, not knowing that Sister Rebecca was unconscious and Laura was hiding there. Jason and Zoe ended up going to church and meet Laura. They said that they already knew her real identity and would report it to Sister Rebecca. Laura, who was mad because the situation was now on the brink, immediately knocked Zoe unconscious and attacked Jason with a vengeance. Unexpectedly, Sister Rebecca was not dead. She appeared behind Laura and pulled her away. But Laura quickly turned things around and attacked Sister Rebecca. Because Laura's attention was distracted, Jason took the opportunity by reaching into the screwdriver in his pocket. He immediately stabbed Laura with a screwdriver until the woman died. The film ends. Subscribe to watch more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.